BSC provided much different numbers than what we had, and sometimes dramatically different. I mean, we were not talking about being off 1% or 2%. We could have been off thousands of percents.
Right within our minivan lineup, we offer that vehicle with the glass around it so that passengers can see out of the minivan. We also offer that product with steel sides for hauling light-duty flowers and electrical equipment. In the traditional costing system, the difference between those was very minor because it was based from direct labor involved, and the direct labor differences between the two were very minor. Under the ABC approach, the steel van on some of our components was more than twice as costly as the glass-sided van because of all the extra work that had to go on to provide a relatively low-volume product that was not that much different than the high-volume product, but yet it took a lot of time and effort to build it.
The impact can be staggering. Organizations have found that certain product lines or segments are 5 to 10 times more costly than they had ever been led to believe. And conversely, where they thought they were in low-margin business, they found that these margins were, in truth, 3, 4, or 6% higher. That may not seem like a lot, but you're in a very competitive environment with a lot of low-price competition. To find that in actuality you have 3 to 5% more margin is really a big insight for many organizations.
Well, today we're running the Essex plant with a much better understanding of our costs. We now know that the rolls and the new roll equipment did have the effect that we had anticipated. We know that we have improved our cost position. Those products are more profitable for us to make. On the other hand, we now know which products are using those other resources, and we have a much better costing system, and frankly, we know where we still have to improve.
Once activity-based costing has mapped the costs of indirect and support resources, business leaders use activity-based management to translate these insights to action.
The answer is not just to eliminate the high-cost products, but to rather be able to do those products more efficiently.
There are a whole variety of actions that companies take in order to transform that line from unprofitable to profitable. They can perhaps redesign some aspects of the product that are proving particularly expensive to manufacture. They can reprice it to customers and have the customers pay for the resources that are being required in order to make and deliver that product. Or they can go at the underlying processes that are being used in that product line, try to improve those processes, reduce the cost of the product, and thereby transform an unprofitable product into a profitable one.
It is a technique to help us with our overall change that we're embarking on at Chrysler, which is to have the employees work better in a team environment and to understand the situation in the upstream areas of their work and in the downstream areas.
People see this almost as an empowerment tool to do the right thing for the company. So the response has been overwhelming. Now we have plant managers that are pounding their fist on the table saying, I want to be next.
Not just manufacturing locations, but we've also found it to be very, very useful and helpful to us in our staff operations, in our financing company, in our service and parts warehousing operations.
In a staffing environment, especially in large companies, I don't think anybody ever sat back and said, what does it cost to book a journal entry? What does it cost to pay an invoice? What does it cost to cut a payroll check? We realize that everybody has processes, and those processes can be mapped and costed, and over time can be improved.
Now, what do you do with this wreck card once you pull it out of the rack?
After looking at it, I'll sign it out, take a copy of the wreck with me to the job.
Okay, so you're telling the supervisor that you're going to take and look at that and do the troubleshooting on that job?
That's correct.
Okay.
Areas of inefficiency or potential waste jump right out at you, and it helps provide a shopping list of things to go after and prioritize for continuous improvement.
I mean, initially, the activity-based cost analysis displays the buckets of opportunity that these programs are designed to attack. It can also then give the priorities to go after those activities and business processes where the improvement will have the greatest impact on overall corporate profitability. And once you get into these programs, it helps the people make the appropriate trade-offs of cost and investment in order to improve quality and reduce cycle time. And at the end, it provides the benefits tracking. Did we really get the benefits to the bottom line?
Activity-based costings is a tool that we use internally and we use it externally. It has really helped us understand the costs and the cost drivers of our business internally, but ultimately it's helping us understand the profitability of our business on a segment basis, by customer, and finally it's helping us make our customers more successful.
Maplehurst differentiates themselves from other suppliers by helping customers analyze their own profitability using ABC.
It's going to give you an idea of how much square footage is dedicated to, say, cookies or rolls and on down the line, and you can use that information to tie it into the profitability, which again is going to make another decision-making tool for you guys to make changes if you think you need to.
And if we're making higher profit in one area, then what we can do is run our ads that way and promote that way according to space allocation.
Exactly.
Well, our vision, our long-term goal in our company is to help our customers to be more successful. Simply, we want to be the best supplier at making in-store bakeries successful.
Activity-based management helps business leaders take a cross-functional approach to their organizations, restructuring processes and managing profitability, using insights derived from activity-based costing.
Activity-based costing does an excellent job of structuring the cost side of the business. We also need to know what's going to generate revenues. How are we going to create future value in the organization?
The balanced scorecard is a management tool for creating future value by overcoming the limitations of traditional financial measurements.
Well, I think you always need financial measures. There's no doubt that at the end of the day, financial measures are the measure of the results and the attractiveness of the franchise that you have. But I think they're lagging measures. Financial measures don't really help you drive performance. I mean, they're the ultimate result of your activities.
You can't abandon financial measures. They create a baseline of discipline for the organization. But you cannot create sustained business development and growth strictly on financial measures. And I don't think that people talk about that enough. We are too much focused on short-term financial performance and not enough focused on the balance of the longer and the short term.
Our concern about the financial system as the sole vehicle for measuring an operation is that it's simply one-dimensional. Any single dimension would be equally damaging, but the tendency of the one-dimensional financial system is to focus operations internally as compared to externally. And we believe that some capability of measurement, which has wider visibility in the organization, is essential to creating that external focus.
If managers are under too much pressure to deliver short-term financial results, they can achieve these by reducing their spending on activities that create future value. They can cut back on research and development, they can cut back on maintenance, they can cut back on employee training, and they can cut back on customer service. In the short run, the financials will look good because the spending has gone down. In the long run, however, profits are going to plummet because they have mortgaged the company by reducing the amount that they're investing in these value-creating activities.
The balanced scorecard supplements financial measurements with measurable objectives for achieving long-term value.
The balanced scorecard is a report card for the senior managers of a business unit. It enables them to view their organization through a balanced set of perspectives on financial performance, customer performance, internal performance, and innovation and improvement. And we want this report card to include a few, but not an excess, of measures in each of these perspectives.
The balanced scorecard starts with the financial perspective. What is success according to our shareholders? Then the customer's perspective is added. how do we become our customers' most valued supplier? The internal perspective identifies processes such as productivity and quality, which we must excel at. And the innovation perspective is all important for gaining long-term competitive advantage. Specific measures differ from company to company because they are derived from the strategy of each business unit. The measures selected will identify key elements of strategic success.
The use of the balanced scorecard initially was attractive to us because it gave us a vehicle for translating strategy to operations. It is not a system for measuring strategy, but in effect is a system for measuring operations that are being conducted consistent with the strategy of the operation.
FMC, a $4 billion corporation, is one of the country's most diversified organizations, participating in businesses ranging from defense and food handling equipment to industrial and agricultural chemicals.
FMC is an example of a company that had been managed to achieve strict financial objectives, and they had been very successful. They had achieved high return on shareholders' equity and had delivered superior stock price performance all through the decade of the 1980s. But they were unsure where the future growth opportunities were going to come from.
We were trying to understand how we could maintain that performance and grow the corporation at a faster clip than we had historically done. That change in strategic direction implied a certain change in the systems that we use to measure the corporation, and the balanced scorecard was very timely in doing that.
One of FMC's products is lithium, the lightest of all metals, with dozens of applications from batteries to pharmaceuticals. FMC's lithium division was one of 6 pilot sites for the balanced scorecard.
We saw the potential for breakthrough performance in our existing operations. Specifically, if you could choose outside financial criteria the 10 or 12 most important elements in the operation of a single business, and you could figure out a way to set long-term targets for significant improvement in each of those variables. Taken together, those variables had the potential for a massive improvement in financial performance over the long term.
Sourcing area.
At Lithium Division, the balanced scorecard team identified on-time delivery as a key strategic objective from the customer perspective.
On-time delivery at Lithium Division had been, in the past couple of years, ranging in the 60 to 70% level, something we weren't very proud of. But as we got involved in the balanced scorecard and we started to pay attention to this area, we found immediately there was some very specific things we can do. One, for example, was to pick orders a day earlier. Now that we're doing that, we've boosted the on-time delivery from, say, 70% to 85% just on that one area.
How about going and pulling this for me?
Sure, be right back.
Now, as we followed through on some other ideas on a similar vein, we've been able to achieve in the last 2 months in excess of 90% on-time delivery.
We do have that material in inventory, so we'll ship it out and you can expect to receive it by next Wednesday.
Initially, the balanced scorecard will be developed at the top of the business unit. It has to be because it has to link tightly to the strategic objectives of that business unit. But then we want to be able to cascade down the balanced scorecard measures to operational measures.
Purchase order number?
We had customer on-time delivery and customer complaints. We had some of those measures before the balanced scorecard, but they were primarily in the marketing department and were not necessarily linked into the whole division and not linked into the manufacturing operation. And that's where we can impact the on-time delivery most, because those guys, once you realize we need to get this out, and if we don't get it out on time, my numbers are going to look bad.